Breaking news out of Washington, D.C. Once again, the Supreme Court has told the Trump administration, no thank you. The High Court handed the administration another loss as it rejected its request to resume what I would call summary deportation under the 1798 Alien Enemies Act. In a case that balances the right of due process with what the White House considers to be a matter of national security, the High Court decided and once again stated that the government can deport people, but has to give those that are being deported enough time to be able to properly challenge the decision of the government. This is, as I said, the second time that the Supreme Court has stated and decided that quick and summary deportations are just not allowed. You might remember that about a month ago, the Supreme Court issued an emergency ruling in the middle of the night, by the way, that prohibited the government from completing a deportation proceeding against a number of prisoners that were being held at a North Texas facility, some of whom were given just a few hours between the warning and the deportation. This time, the court's decision centered around an emergency appeal filed by two Venezuelan citizens. And I think what is important to stress that is in this per curiam decision, which means that it's made by the court as a whole, the court wrote, "We recognize the significance of the government's national security interests, as well as the necessity that such interests be pursued in a manner consistent with the Constitution." Page 3 of the decision, they make a very important point. Number one, they restate that due process applies to everybody, including aliens, and that anybody who is removed from the country has a right to procedural due process, and that includes enough notice to be able to defend their position. However, the most important thing, I think, is the fact that when you look at the content of the decision, the court might be sending a signal, maybe a weak one, but a signal that it's really starting to have enough of these instances where the administration is completely disregarding the clearly present due process rights of everybody, including undocumented aliens. Now, there are several other cases that are in some way similar to this one that are being argued in lower courts and might make their way up to the Supreme Court. And if that happens, I don't think that this is going to play in favor of the administration, but we'll have to see what happens.